Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the R&D show. We're your host. I'm Shad,
I'm Ryan.
and you're tuning into the one and only R&D show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got a little something different. I didn't know where to put it at, so I'm gonna hold it until I figure this thing out. And hopefully I can hear me better. There was a few people that said they couldn't hear me too well, so got a mini mic. Next thing you know, I'm gonna have a big mic. But right now, out the mini mic, see how it works. But welcome to the R&D show. We are in June, and June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. It's also Juneteenth. It's also Black Music Month, and
That's
it's
so Pride
also
Month.
Pride Month as well, and it's
Yeah.
also Melody Mondays on today. And there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in general. Um, so before we get into Melody Mondays, I definitely want to dive into some hot topics, starting with Michael Rainey Jr. So Michael Rainey Jr., of course, is Tariq in Power. Those of you that watch Power, it's been on for 10 seasons. And it's such an amazing trilogy. It's a well written, amazing acting, and Tariq has just literally left off or picked up where Ghost left off. Ghost was his dad, played by Amari Hardwick. I want to talk about Tariq because yesterday during a live stream, he was on a live stream with a YouTuber, and there was other people around. There were some kids that was there as well, and this YouTuber goes on by the name of Tai Tai. And so, mind you, this is live. So his sister, Tai Tai's sister, comes in and literally gropes and sexually assaults Michael Rainey Jr. on live stream,
What?
which has basically created this outrage. Like, people are outraged, which is a good thing, right? People
Yeah,
are
for
outraged
sure.
because they feel like first of all it was inappropriate. Men and women, and it's great to see a lot of women that's have stood in the gap, and they have a lot to say, and they're just like, this is sexual assault, this is not good, he needs to press charges, he needs to do what he needs to do. She needs to be held accountable above and beyond. And you have other people that are saying that if it was the other way around, he would be in jail right now. And it's very interesting because I know a lot of people always say that there's a double standard when it comes to things like
Hmm.
sexual assault, and men being victims of things of that nature, whether it be rape or domestic violence, intimate partner violence, and again sexual assault. And in this case, it's caught on camera, so it went viral. What's your thoughts on that?
I think the fact that she was bold enough to do it live where people could see let you know the mindset behind some people when it comes to sexual assault in men. Like it's a okay thing to do. I don't think she even thought twice about it. She just did it. So I think that tells you a lot about where we are as a society and as just having it as a double standard when men are assaulted versus when women are assaulted. And so that just speaks more to that narrative that it's a double standard. But I'm glad that like women were outraged, men were outraged. Did you find any men that push back to say like, ah, that's a female, um, you know, you know, suck it up, like be a man. It's not that big of a deal.
Of course, you
Or
see a few of those comments, but they were kind of far and few this time
okay,
around, which is very
good.
interesting. And it's only because I think most people are saying we have created this space of making it acceptable for us to be rubbed down and groped
Mm,
and grabbed without, saying anything. Um, and we have the Me Too movement that started some years ago, where
mm-hmm.
women have started to really speak out against these things, and it's still going on, and things are coming to light that happened years and years ago. So imagine if men started doing the same thing, would the support be there? Would that same type of support system, with the same type of actual, global, should I say, or worldwide outrage be there?
You
I
know
don't
what? I
know.
think we made progress because I thought like a lot of men would have there'd been a lot of backlash against him for even saying anything, or just like just it's just a girl, man. Like she touched, it's not a big deal. But the fact that people are outraged means that we are making progress. We're not where we need to be, but I think we're moving in the right direction when it comes to sexual assault. Period.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Todd Todd, the YouTuber, he had released a statement earlier, and he got on his YouTube and just basically saying, like, I'm not sure what all took place, but my sister had never been around anyone of that caliber. That was her first time being around a celebrity. So, things happen. Sometimes you can't control yourself when you're around, certain types of people. So that's kind of what he was alluding to at first, without holding her accountable. It was more
Yeah,
so, that's my sister. I'm gonna stand by, like, I love my sister. I'm gonna stand by my sister, or whatever the case may be. That's kind of what he gave. But then once he put that out, people wasn't having it. People
yeah.
came and, like, just attacked that issue, attacked that statement, really just held him accountable and held his feet to the fire. He then came back and released a new statement holding his sister accountable, apologizing for Michael being in that situation and him being violated. Because at the end of the day, you violated someone's space, you violated someone's body, and no one is giving you permission to put your hands on them. You should keep your hands to yourself. And so he's saying, whatever, Michael decides to do moving forward, I support him. But my sister is banned from any and all the things that I have going on, or whatever the case may be. But it's like, people are wondering, why didn't you have that energy the first go around? And then not only that, why isn't your sister actually apologizing and releasing a statement and doing a video, with you, and just saying, I was wrong, holding myself accountable for the part that I played. I should have never violated him.
So you don't think his apology is genuine? That it may be just a response to the backlash, and he's probably just doing it to appease followers? Because that was his initial response. So do you think he genuinely learned that this was inappropriate behavior?
I think it really took for people to hold his feet to the fire for him to be like, okay, I got to fix this some type of way, because if I don't, it's going to go on and on and on. So I don't know if it's genuine, honestly,
Mm,
because he had enough time to gather his thoughts, to, sit on what really happened, to reflect and be like, okay, my sister was really wrong. She was wrong. And I need to have a conversation with her, maybe on camera, so that she knows that she's wrong. I'm going to hold her accountable in front of the same people that she violated him in front of, so that she can understand you cannot just go up to anyone and put your hands on anybody without their permission.
and Michael hasn't said anything about it.
So Michael has finally released his
Okay.
statement as well.
Okay.
And it's clear, like, even in the video, that he was shocked.
Mm,
And sometimes when you're shocked, you don't know how to respond. You kind
mm-hmm.
of like, and it was all in his eyes and in his facial expressions. It was like he was shocked. And so he did release a video, and he's not sure how he wants to move forward. He just knows that he was violated. It was inappropriate. It's something that should never happen to anyone. And yeah, he's just not for it at all.
It's really interesting because I was speaking to a friend yesterday. He said he was assaulted at a club. Someone just grabbed him, like inappropriate at a club. Like, is this, is this becoming more typical? And then it does happen in certain spaces, certain club environments, where people feel they have the liberty to touch you anyway. Um, which, somebody get the beat down. I've been ready to beat people down, but for grabbing me.
But people, again, I feel like we have kind of done ourselves a disservice as men, because we haven't set those strict boundaries with people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it'll happen and we'll just brush it off. Like, I've been to plenty places where I've been touched inappropriately, and I may turn and give a stern look, but that would be it. So
Yeah.
now I'm thinking I probably should have handled it a little bit more. No, I'm not going to say aggressive as far as like causing a scene, but aggressive as far as standing my ground, that you don't get to do that to me and nobody else.
Yeah.
Like, if I haven't given you permission to do that, you don't get to do that at all. You know what I mean? And it's great that the conversation is being had. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a conversation that I feel like we've never had. It's happened to us. It's happened to plenty of us, and we just look at it as if, it's a female, or we men, so it really don't matter. Things of that nature, but it does matter. At the end of the day, it's your body and it's your rules. And if you don't want nobody touching you, then nobody should be touching you.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
So I definitely want to send a special shout out to Michael just for standing up for himself and releasing a statement and letting people know that it's not okay to invade anyone's personal space and to cross boundaries. It's very disrespectful. And also for him just considering what this outcome is going to be for him and for them moving forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm glad that at least he's taking some time to think about it and not just impulsively respond and just figure out his way, how he wants to move forward with this. So he's taking time to really just think about it. So I think that's good rather than
Yeah,
respond impulsively.
I agree. I think that's a great thing. So I wanted to talk about that because, again, this is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And that can definitely play a part on your mental health. And I can tell just by reading his statement that right now, mentally, he is trying to process it. He said he was trying to process it then, and he's still trying to process like what's going on. And you can tell in that moment in that video, he was trying to process like his response. Like, is this really happening? Like, he did move her hand or whatever, but she was just, I don't know, it was just very uncomfortable. And not to mention, it was two little kids that was like, were standing right in front of them. So it
Mm.
was like, she's just not even caring about anyone that's in that room or what's going on or the millions of people that probably were viewing this live stream. So it's definitely a lesson to be taught and a lesson to be learned here.
Yeah, and I would love for her to issue a public apology as well, like you said, not just tie on behalf of her, but herself. But she needs to get on camera and issue a public apology as well, since it happened publicly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, perfect opportunity for our amazing supporters to drop down and let us know your opinions on this, especially when it comes to men being sexually assaulted and it never being addressed. There's never really that conversation of um, how we process it and how we take action and things of that nature. So yeah, let us know. We would love to know your thoughts on that. Moving to the next thing I want to talk about. So last week I came across a video. It's couples therapy, and it's this couple that's sitting in front of a therapist, and it's regarding it's a black man, and he's talking about he doesn't feel necessary to be involved in his child's life at this stage. Like his child is young right now. That it's the mom's responsibility to raise him until he gets to at least middle school and or high school, and then he gets to step in. And he kind of gave his reasoning as to why he believes that boys really don't need their dads until middle school or high school because he feels like those are the pivotal years. And immediately I was frustrated and I was pissed off for the simple fact of, number one, how dare you? Number two, that's very selfish. And I don't like to take things like personal. Like, I don't like to insert myself in narratives. However, I do know how it feels to have a missing parent, have a missing father. And for him to even logically think that that's okay, and he really tried to make it make sense. It was just mind-boggling to me of his perspective as to why he think that that would work.
Did he also feel like it was just the woman's job to raise the kid up to a certain age? It wasn't not necessarily that, the kid didn't need a father until later in life. It was just that maybe it was a woman's job, which I think is what a lot of men think. And I have a lot of my lady friends, they're in marriages or they're dating somebody, and it's the husband that wanted a kid. And then as soon as the kid comes, it's, you know, they're doing all the work. It's the woman that's doing all the work. And so it's kind of selfish, that you would put all of that onto your spouse. It's difficult to raise a kid, especially a newborn. You have to get up in the middle of the night. You have to be really attentive to the child and to outsource that completely to your mate. um, like you said, I think it's a pretty selfish thing, and also to know that like the foundation is laid at an early age. For affection, for love, for character building, it starts at a very early age, as soon as like the first few months. So now that child is missing out all of that nurturing and that foundation building that could really help him later on in life, as children often develop their attachment style early on, not when they're 14 or 15. They already have, developed certain characteristics and certain ways to communicate and to show love and to receive love. And you just missed out on those formative years.
Yeah, I just sometimes I like to try to open myself up to really listen to understand, to make clear sense of like, okay, I understand where he's coming from. No part of me understands where he's coming from. Not just because, you know, I've been involved in my son's life since he was in the womb. You know what I mean? I've never been absent. So it's kind of like not from that place, but from a place of children don't ask to be here. They don't get to pick their parents. And so like, and they're also a gift from God. So if God has blessed you with this gift, it is your responsibility to take good care of this gift, you know, by
Yeah,
any means necessary to be the best that you can be to this child. So to think that your presence isn't necessary during the early years and that it's the mother's responsibility and that you can
yeah,
just come into their life out of nowhere just because you feel like, okay, now you need me. It's not fair to the child. You don't understand what you're doing. You don't understand the trauma that you're causing this child early on.
yeah. But sometimes people, they've only seen it one way, and maybe his father was that way, his father's father was that way. Maybe it just was a generational thing.
It's not what happened.
It's not what happened. His
No,
father
so
was
his
very
his
actively
his mom
active.
and his dad were actually married. Um,
Were they active? Because I know households where the parents are married, but still the male would outsource like the child rearing and the child raising to the female. They say that's not my job. My job is to provide financially. It's my wife's job to raise a kid, to cook and clean. It's really an old way of thinking, but that is a mindset that people do have.
no, you're absolutely right. I've seen that happen before. Case in point, my uncle was kind of that way with my cousins. He would say that they're responsible for taking out the trash, and but they was not responsible for cleaning up and cooking. And so when they grew to be men, they grew up to be filthy men, which is very interesting. Men that cannot cook, men that don't know how to groom themselves and take care of themselves, and their house is dirty. So it's you have to be very careful of creating these gender roles at the end of the
Mhm.
day. Um, I feel like a household that has both parents is, for one, just it's a beautiful thing to have both of your parents, but there shouldn't be a gender role. You should be able to see your mom and your dad do it all, so that you don't start to create these narratives for your relationship as you get older and be like, oh, okay, now I know what I got to do, and I know what she better do, or if she can't do it, then I don't want it. You know what I mean? So I have to be very careful with that. But I know that he was saying that his parents were together, and then at the age of 12, they divorced, and for some reason, I guess he felt like he was just fine being with his mom, and he was fine with his his father, I guess, not being as present, but it did not hit him that his father wasn't as present as he would like for him to be until he got to high school. That's when it hit him, and he's like, "I need my dad." I realized I really needed my dad. So that could be a little bit of why his decision is the way that it is right now, is because he felt like, okay, I was fine, but then it still doesn't make sense because you had your dad from birth up until 12, then they divorced. And it's not to say that your dad walked away from you completely, but you spent majority of your time living with your mom. So I still couldn't understand his logic behind that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't make it make sense unless it's just something. I don't know. Maybe it could just be just a selfish mindset. Like I want to do what I want to do. I want to outsource that to his mom. I don't want to be bothered till they get to more manageable age, till they're older. I don't know. It's some warped way of thinking that he's come up with that um, that is that's difficult to understand.
It's weird. And I said, not during not during mental health awareness month and not during Father's Day. Like what are we doing? Like, but it has definitely sparked a bigger conversation. And a lot of times things like this do spark conversations and everyone has a certain type of opinion. And a lot of people, even though they try to dissect it and get an understanding, they still feel the same way. Like it's not fair to the child. It's not fair. It's also not fair to the child's mother for you to try to make this decision and put everything on her until you're ready to step in, acting as if now is the time for me to come in and lay down a foundation. If a foundation has already been created, it's going to be tough for you to come in and create your own foundation and think that he's just going to follow suit. That's not how that works. You need to be actively involved, and whether you're together or not, you still need to be actively involved, co-parenting in a healthy way. So yeah, that was just something that I felt was weird.
Yeah.
Like that's the best way to put it. I feel like you're sitting here on couples therapy acting weird.
And this couples therapy, is this a show? This is what was this? This was a show
It's a
that's
show.
on. Okay.
I'm not sure what it's on, but yeah.
Okay, that is very that you're going live TV, but obviously he believed in his perspective. You know,
Clearly, I mean,
most times people when they're doing something, they're not doing something because they think it's wrong. They really believe in their stance or where they're coming from or whatever it is. But it's up for other people to enlighten them. So it's
yeah,
good that he got on national TV. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to try to enlighten him now because people are pissed.
very, very pissed, very pissed. Women are pissed and outraged, and some men are pissed and outraged.
Yeah, and I'm sure like the showrunners and the people of the show knew that that was gonna come up and that would be a good topic for debate.
Right.
So I was like, this is gonna be good TV. A lot of people have something to say about this. So I'm sure that's why they probably selected this couple because they knew his mindset and maybe saw as an opportunity to not only get ratings up but to educate. So
I mean, you're right about that, and it's definitely an educational moment because the therapist, like, she's really trying to unpack this to understand, like, what is the deeper reason for you to think that this mindset and whatever you've created in this narrative is okay.
yeah,
Like, let us know your thoughts on that topic as well. I'm sure we have some single mothers that watch the R&D show who have dealt with wanting their child's father to be involved full time, and also they've raised these kids by themselves full time without the father at all. And I'm pretty sure that they would have loved to have that additional presence. You know what I mean? Because it's not one person's responsibility. It took two people to create a child. So both should be present in some capacity.
amen to that.
Full time.
Yeah.
You don't get to pick and choose when to hop in and hop out. Yeah, let us know your thoughts on that. Moving on to Melody Mondays. Oh, before that, I have to say that I was so pleasantly surprised, and it made my day the other day to see it was Friday to see Brandy and Monica. So Ariana Grande, her new album, she has a song in there called "The Boy Is Mine."
Mm-hmm.
26 years ago, "The Boy Is Mine" was released.
And it's been 26
26
years. That's
years, and you know
crazy.
it was a huge song. It spent weeks and weeks and weeks on Billboard at number one, um, and so I feel like Ariana Grande was intentional about this video and the timing of the release of this video, and she released it on the day that the song was released 26 years ago. And in the video, she has Brandy and Monica in
Oh
the video.
wow. All together.
And so when those images circulated, it just went crazy. Like I'm pretty sure they knew it would. They had to. Everybody knew
Yeah.
it would. Like they have been highly requested to tour together for a very long time. And so hopefully this is opening that door for them just seeing how they literally just sent like this wave of enthusiasm, of joy, of like happiness, of like excitement from all of their fans and just people in general all over social media, just from these images and just from them being in that video.
Yeah, they're powerful. They're powerful by themselves, but like
Women
when
by themselves,
but
but a force
force
when
when
they
they
together.
together. That's
A
it.
force,
Hey, yo,
man.
force when it yes when they're
And
together.
they have to know that they're a force. Like And as much as I'm sure that they enjoy their individuality, they are a force when they're together. And no one can deny that force is so strong. Like you can't say one without the other. And that's just always the conversation of how it's been since they were, teenagers. And I know at some point they probably want to outgrow that, but honestly, we love them together. And regardless of the people that have tried to pit them against each other, the truth of the matter is we love them together. And it's clear. I mean, the numbers, that those photos were circulating in different blogs and like all these think pieces from like Essence Magazine, MTV, like BET, like, and then all these blogs, the Shade Room, like all these people literally celebrating this moment and asking, when is the tour? Give us the tour dates. All these celebrities doing the same thing. When is the tour? When is the tour? A lot of people thought it was a tour announcement. That's how
Mm,
excited people are.
mm.
And so, shout out to Brandy and Monica. And I said this before, give the people what they want. We want a world tour with Monica and Brandy.
Yes, sir. Just like we want a DC3 tour, we want a Brandy and Monica tour.
Absolutely. Make it happen, ladies.
Yeah.
Make it happen. Um, the childhood, the childhood, just that little boy just got so excited. Like I went all the way back to just like being in my room and all them posters I had on my wall and just reminiscing of just how much I love these ladies for a very, very long time. Make it
Yeah.
happen.
Make it
Because I'm
happen.
getting front row, meet and greet. I'm getting everything. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna make it happen by any means necessary. So yeah. All right. So now moving on, transitioning to Melody Monday. Let's get into it, Corey.
Go ahead. You go ahead. Talk about what went down.
All right. So of course we picked up with Trisha, and Ken today.
Ken.
Ken. Picked up with them finishing their conversation, and that was that. But the meat and potatoes of it was really
The meat and potatoes
Trisha.
of you mean the drama.
The meat and
Because
potatoes of
Ken and
the.
Trisha had a very thorough storyline,
They
but
did.
the drama. Go ahead. The
And
drama
I feel like
first.
we talked about their storyline. We touched on it really
Yeah.
well the last one. And it is still very interesting to see where they're at and where they're trying to be at. But I
Hmm.
also understand her stance. I
Yeah.
understand her stance of wanting to take things slow and also not really believing he is who he is based off of her past experience. And although you shouldn't do that because you're supposed to heal and unpack that and do what you have to do, but again, you're human and there's a little bit of fear there because you thought that this was going to last forever and it didn't, and then that person changed on you, and so there's some trauma there that she's still trying
There's
to
some
figure
trauma
out.
there, but also like just she needs to move on
Yeah.
and pushing those divorce papers. She's been divorced. I mean, she's been separated for over 5 years, but really hasn't really pushed really hard to get her husband to sign the divorce papers. So I just wonder like what's there? Why has she waited so long and haven't been diligent in pursuit of making him sign those papers? So
A lot of times people just feel like I'm not going to get married again.
but now she's been
It
in this
was so
situation
months.
for 2 years, though. Like she knows
Yeah.
it's a possibility now. Her new babe has been upfront about wanting to get married, and she's kind of just kind of drug her feet. So that's really interesting as well.
Yeah. We'll just have to see how that plays out. 'Cause, I mean, I can understand both sides. Him being, ready, but wanting her to make sure that she completes. Completion is important,
Mm.
right? So for her to reach completion in that last chapter, and she probably felt like I did. I don't talk to him. There's nothing there, blah blah. But that's still over your head, and people are still connecting you to him, and don't even know that you're in a new relationship. So that could be a little awkward for him as well. So I mean, I understand where he's coming
Yeah. So it
from.
was a very great storyline, but like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
it's
we
a
can
good
get the meat,
storyline.
potatoes, and the drama.
Not really wanting to get to the drama, but it
It
was
is
just
a
very
bit.
interesting how I don't know. Like sometimes I just don't get Tisha.
Mm,
Sometimes it feels like she does the liquid courage
yeah.
thing. I mean, I don't know. It's
And,
kind
she,
of
and
weird.
it's really interesting because she says Stormy switches it up. But she's the one that switches it up. So that's a little bit of projection there because Tisha came in really hot,
Yeah, she
you
did.
know, from the very beginning. And it could have, like you said, could have been a liquid courage, but she was coming at Nell, calling Nell feisty, and kind of going back and forth, then coming at Stormy. Like at Nell's birthday party, like we're here to celebrate Nell, not they getting all this. Yeah, Stormy, I thought it was a kind of awkward Stormy's language of saying, I would love for you to come. I agree, but that really wasn't the time to bring it up. But it still was a invitation to them to come. So, and to cause a lot of back and forth at somebody's birthday party about that was kind of just, girl, sit
Disrespectful.
down, stop, sit down and lay off on those drinks.
And she brought that up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like that conversation just came up out of nowhere. She went from having her little, spat with Neil to, and then I get an email and I'm or a text message. I'm trying to figure out how you gonna invite someone. So again, like you said, I can understand. One, I can see it as an olive branch. I'm extending an olive
Mm-hmm.
branch. What happened at the reunion happened at the reunion. Time has passed, and now I'm extending an olive branch. So I can see it as that. And then from Stormy's point of view, and then from Tisha's point of view, I can see it as I would have loved to have a formal conversation just so that we can kind of rehash some things and come to a resolution.
I can see
Like,
both
where do we
sides of
stand?
it, like you said, but
Yeah.
also I kind of agree with Tisha a little bit on this because Stormy then went in and wanted explanation about why she said pop those pills.
But that
Like,
was after. That was her rebuttal to Tisha's energy and the things she was saying.
yeah, it was, but she still like she has these lingering questions. But maybe she was like, "This is the olive branch. We'll get to have that conversation at some point." But at least I want to invite them to this event I'm having.
Yeah.
So, but Tisha's like, "We got to resolve these things before." But all in all, it's a freaking show. So they got to film together. She probably invited her because production said invite her.
And like send an invitation to everybody.
Everybody needs to
Everybody gets
be there.
invited.
So
Meanwhile, Melody walks in like a superstar.
yeah, she
The
did like a
glasses on.
superstar.
But she was the first person to like point out Tisha's energy.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of just
Yeah,
like she's doing a lot. Like
she's doing the most.
how many drinks has she had? Like she's on 10 already, and we just got here.
Because as soon as Mel got there, Tisha pulled Mel aside. Was like, "Don't you want to address something, Marcel?" Mel was like, "This is not the time or place. I'll get to that. I have a
Exactly.
conversation one on one." But Tisha was so,
And she handled it so gracefully because some people wait to cause a scene at somebody
yeah.
else's function. She's like, this ain't the time and place. I'm here to celebrate my friend. I'm not going to take away my friend's shine by addressing your husband. But then she also was trying to get her to take off her glasses. Remember,
Mm-hmm. She
she's
said,
like,
"No, too
she's
close,
like,
too close."
she's like,
Okay.
chill out. Like you doing a lot right now. So I don't know. She was really acting strange, and
Yeah.
you had said something about that.
Yeah, I did. A lot of times people act out when things are not going well at home. So maybe all this energy may be misdirected at these ladies that should be directed at her husband. Maybe some stuff is going on there. So maybe she's acting out because some things at home are not going the way that she wants to. And now she's just taking out all the energy on the ladies rather than on the person she's supposed to be taking out on, which could be her husband. That's just something I'm just thinking of. I'm like, where's this coming from? You know, it just seems to be coming out of nowhere. So I think there's some underlying things going on, some frustration she has somewhere.
Yeah, it was
This was really weird.
very, very weird. But of course, that all continued, and we'll get to the bottom of just everything as the season progresses.
It's really interesting, Tisha. She's kind of like ride or die for her husband, but sometimes it
He's
doesn't
not right
feel.
or down to her.
No,
He's not.
he's not.
He's
He's
like
not
throw her under the bus and throw
kind,
her
not
up for
compassionate,
reals.
not empathetic, and it's just not reciprocated. So just to see that's kind of tough for me to watch because anytime she's bringing up her feelings, he's almost demeaning and belittling her feelings,
Yeah.
and it's just frustrating to see. So
And it's almost like, what is the backstory to why she is the way that she is in this
mm-hmm.
marriage? Why do you allow so much to happen and transpire where you don't have any power?
Mm-mm.
Like you say these things like, oh, if he was to do this, I would leave. If he was to do that, but you can't even have a conversation with him and hold him accountable and or depend on him or for him to show up for you. Like he don't even know how to show up for you. You know what I mean? So it's weird watching that relationship because why are you still in it? Sometimes people are in it because we have these kids and we have this
Mm-hmm.
history, but
I think she loves him. She's been with him a long time. She's attached to him, and she's probably used to the dysfunction of it all.
Yeah, sometimes people just get used to their
And
partner.
they're like, "This is the life that I'm living. I
Yeah,
chose to live," and she's apparently at this moment,
I've learned his ways. I
I'm
understand how
okay
he
with it.
operates.
I'm
But
not
is
gonna hold
she?
his feet to the fire, but I'm gonna hold everybody's feet to the fire. It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like
It's
there's a lot of. It doesn't seem like there's some unrest there.
a little preview.
Yeah.
Ryan on the next episode because he had checked her and she was like, "Why are you checking me? Like, why don't you show up for me and have my back?"
Yeah.
So,
Hmm. Hmm.
we'll figure it out because Marcel's a character. We all know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes a special individual to be in a relationship with people
Ooh,
that are
wee.
characters.
Just imagine how difficult it is sometimes to watch him on the show, but to be with him 24/7 is ooh. God bless you.
Very interesting. What did you think about Courtney and yeah,
Courtney and Ken, in terms of what the
the
conversation
conversation?
about Martell,
Yeah, about just
and like so Ken came to Courtney and basically was saying that, hey, when Stormy and
Trisha.
Trisha met up, Martell came into the room and introduced himself to Trisha. Is that name?
Trish. Yeah,
Tisha,
Trish.
Trish.
Tisha, and you got Trish.
Yeah, to Trish. Like we already talked about this last episode. Like he didn't know who she was, and so Ken basically was like, "Is it more to the story? Like, don't be putting my girl out there. Like there may be more to the story." So he kind of wants Martell to clean it up.
Yeah, he wants to. Well, but he also wants her to handle the situation, and if need be,
He said he'll step in.
then he'll step in. So he's giving her that space because I guess that's her situation to kind of handle a little bit. Which is interesting to me because I had caught a clip of the Real Housewives of New Jersey, and it was Teresa, her new
Mm-hmm.
husband, and then two, um, well, this other couple sitting across from them,
Mm.
and the husband was giving Teresa like all the energy, all the mouth, and her husband was just kind of sitting there.
Mm.
So it's like, when is the right time for your husband to step in?
Step in.
Yes, it was regarding some remarks that Teresa made about him, calling him a drug dealer or something like that. And
Yeah.
so he was addressing that situation. It's like, why would you say that? Why would you say these things? But he was also like going on and on and on. And her husband just kind of was sitting there turning red a little bit, but wasn't really, saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that I watched, the more I was like, this is the perfect time for you to interject. This is the perfect time for you to say something. Like, chill out on my wife. You're doing a lot. Like, we understand what you're saying, but you need to bring it down a notch. Like, you're doing a lot. And he just literally just sit there. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's tough sometimes. You don't want to be that partner that's not going to hold your spouse accountable.
Right.
But then there's also the part where you feel like someone's going overboard and going a little bit too far, and that's when you kind of need to step in. It's a delicate thing. I'm going to be ride or die for my partner, but if my partner's wrong, then they're wrong. But I'm not going to let someone berate them.
Right.
So
And that's what it seemed like. That's what was happening.
yeah.
And he was like taking shots at her, and I don't know. It was weird. And people in the comments, they kind of noticed the same thing. Like, he's just sitting there like a deer in headlights
Mm,
during that whole. I don't know. It was maybe a 5 minute segment.
yeah.
So I don't know. Once we got to 2.5, 3 minutes, I would have been conversation would have been over.
All right.
Like, you've done a lot. But any other takeaways from Love and Marriage?
No, no.
How you feel about Trish being a bone collector a little bit? You said she was stirring the pot.
She was stirring the pot a little bit. She's been a bone collector, bringing the stormy what Tisha said. So, you gotta keep your spot on the show. You gotta make your money.
He's like, I gotta play the game.
I gotta play the
Gotta make it seem
game.
like I
I
play the
gotta
game.
carry the bones. I gotta be the charade of the show. So,
You know what Bravo's been doing? I just kind of like segue, but what
mm-hmm.
Bravo's been doing is allowing a whole lot of video footage like from people's phones
Mm.
to be released
Mm.
of these new seasons of Potomac and Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Really?
So a lot of these, yeah, so it's all up and down like Twitter.
So I
And
guess it's.
the interesting thing is these relationships have changed, the
Mm.
dynamics of these relationships. So I think what Bravo is trying to do is get ahead way before the shows premiere so that they can win back their audience.
Yeah.
The audience that love to see these women filming together and having a good time and being able to have these friendships. Like it's even to the point where Wendy just had her 40th birthday party. All the ladies were invited. Her and Giselle were hugging. They took pictures together.
Oh.
They've created like it's very interesting to see like
I think
what is transpiring right
I
now.
think both of those ladies are about the bottom line, about their money. And I think the threat of being fired from that show and to lose that platform probably what caused them to come together.
Yeah.
There's not many other opportunities where they can make this amount of money and have this level of fame. And so I think they're smart. They probably let bygones be bygones and said, let's get to this money. And so I think it's good to see. It's good marketing, keeps people talking about it. A lot of times when shows are in the off season, it could, people can tend to forget, but it keeps you, talking about the show.
Yeah.
So
And hopefully we get to see how they got to that point.
I'm not
Was there a sit
surprised.
down? Was there a conversation? Because it's been 3 years of Giselle literally acting like she hates Wendy. So
Vice versa too. Wendy hating
not really.
Giselle too.
If you
Wendy
go
not
back,
want a conversation.
Wendy's given some
No.
grace and has tried. She's
Mm,
tried. If you think about it, go back and watch a little bit. She's tried.
when was the last time she tried?
Go back and watch.
I don't know. Obviously, Wendy is pretty cold. Her and Candace were kind of like, I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to have these conversations. Same thing with Giselle. I think it was both sides. Both of them kind of got to a position where they didn't want to talk to each other. I never saw Wendy come in and wanting to talk to Giselle all last season,
That was last season. I said you got to
or even like
go
really
back
the
a few
season
seasons
before.
just and kind of see that she's semi given an olive branch and Giselle
Mm,
just. But it Bravo is just trying to clean up some things. Pretty much is what I'm noticing and other people is noticing because of it being of them shuffling up the cast, throwing in some new cast members, and not wanting to lose that core audience of people who were upset about storylines, upset about seasons, upset about feuds, and people really not. And even Andy being upset about there not being a resolution because his whole thing is, yeah, y'all can bicker, but once we get to this reunion, there should be resolve.
yeah.
We should be able to come to a place of understanding, and we can continue like having some type of friendship. You know what I mean? Being cordial and not wanting to not film with each other or completely hating each other. And another example of that is Real Housewives of New Jersey is now going to be put on pause,
Mm,
and he's going to recast that, and they're not even having a reunion. That's how
mm,
bad it is because none of the ladies are speaking to each other. Nobody's getting along. There's not being any resolution on the show, and it's just played out horribly.
yeah.
And so I think that they're realizing that this isn't what their fans want to see. This isn't what the fans have loved and rallied around Housewives for all these years for. And I think it's also a testament of letting go of some of the older people and bringing in fresh
Yeah.
faces sometimes too, because people sometimes get stuck in this position and act as if they don't need to play the position well anymore.
I think it's fun to have conflict on the show, and it's fun to have some permanent conflict when it's one or two people. But when it's the entire cast, that's the issue.
Yeah,
So, like, if you look back on Real Housewives of Atlanta from the beginning, there's times where certain people just never ever got along. They never really reached a resolution, but it was okay because it was just those two beefing, not the whole entire cast, not everybody taking sides. So I think when it's the majority of the cast, then it starts to affect the broader show. Then I think that's when it's an issue. But having two people in conflict is not a big deal.
but they
Having
will be in conflict maybe for that season. But then when that next season comes, they will talk it out and develop their relationship again. Nobody has really just stayed mad at someone. Like even on Housewives of Atlanta, you have Nene and Kim one season. You'll have Nene and Phaedra one season. You may have Nene and Sheree one season. Sheree and Phaedra a season. Kim and Candy. Candy and you know what I mean. But they still are all at the same events together. They're still filming together, and their relationship still grow and evolve. No one just stays mad for the duration of all these seasons. The only time that we've had a big fallout was the Candy,
Yeah, that's what I was about to
Phaedra,
say.
and Portia
Yeah, that's what I was
situation,
gonna go
and
to.
that's because it was kind of detrimental to Candy's, her overall character, her businesses, her success, the legacy that she's built, and so we can understand why because ugh, that was a tough one.
Yeah, that
You
was a
know,
tough.
that
Yeah,
was tough,
that was
and
below the belt.
I think also if Phaedra would have held herself accountable and brought herself down to being a human being, humbling herself and being like, you know what, I fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I allowed whatever was going on between us to make me this angry to
Mm-hmm.
want to stab you like that. I should not have done that. And whether you want to speak to me or not again, I want to let you know that I am sorry. Like
Mm-hmm.
I truly and I deeply apologize because you didn't deserve that. We were good. We were really good friends at one point in time, and maybe I was just hurt that the friendship ended, and like I'm losing my friend, and I didn't know how to, process it, and so I just lashed out and reacted in a nasty way. I feel like if she would have done that, yeah, it would have took some time, but Candy would have came back around and been able to just at least be cordial,
Yeah.
on the show. We may not be able to be friends, but we can be cordial. But because she never did that and she went on this whole media thing too, tour, and anytime that they asked her about it, she didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
Her response was, I think, so if somebody is like that, because I know how that feels to be in a situation that wasn't the best and somebody done something to you, and for me, it's about holding that person accountable and them showing me that they're actually sorry and they apologize, but they changed behavior. You can't then get on different shows and talk about it and talk about me and be like, I don't care. It happened. Who cares? You know what I mean? So then at some point, you're just going to be like, okay, if that's your attitude toward it, then I want nothing to do with you for the rest of my life. So that's that situation. And clearly, Portia early on was like, whew, the part I played in it, I really messed up.
Mm-hmm.
How can I fix this? And we seen her try to fix it for a whole season, right?
Mm-hmm.
A whole season she tried to fix it because she knew she had messed up. And that's what it's all about. Because we're human beings, we're gonna make mistakes, but how do you come back from that? Sometimes these shows are supposed to be teaching us that type of valuable lesson. Yes, you can have these group of people who fall out, but they can also fall back in.
Mm-hmm.
There's some resolution. This is how they were able to hash it out.
Do you think Marlo and Kenya would ever get back?
But they did.
They did kind of get back a
Remember,
little
they
bit.
did.
They did. This most
Mm-hmm.
recent season, would it?
No.
But they
So
did get back. But then that
they
stuff
did.
happened. Then she lied on Kenya again, and she was like,
Yeah.
"This is a permanent break. I
Once
don't."
Marlo got her peach,
Yeah.
she just became a villain.
So that's what
So
I'm
Kenya,
saying. So you think they would have gotten back?
probably not.
Probably not.
Just because whatever that is that Marlo was trying to maintain,
Yeah.
this villain type of role, she had it all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
She did it all
But I
wrong.
think you can cross somebody so bad, and I
Yeah.
feel like Kenya was really hurt by this last time that there was no coming back.
Because she feel like this is
I'm
my
like,
friend. Like
yeah.
we started to build a friendship, and now this is what you're doing. Um, I can understand that, but what I do love to see is through all the seasons of it being back and forth between Portia and Kenya, they are in a really great space. From the
Mm-hmm.
videos that I've circulated, the photos, like they are going to be like the friends to watch on
Oh,
This
they're
Is What She
smart
Said.
ladies. Listen, they're
They're the
they don't
friends
mess
to
up their
watch.
paycheck.
Yeah.
Just like Giselle and Wendy, they're not gonna mess up their paycheck. They saw what happened to Robin. They saw like these ladies know
Oh yeah.
this is their livelihood at stake. A lot of them, especially someone like Giselle, like she doesn't have really any other businesses. Now Wendy has a PhD. She teaches. She's a professor. She has other things, but
Four
also
degrees.
she got 4 degrees. But also, like she doesn't have anything else to give her this level of platform
Yeah.
like this. Even though she is, has some other things that are going on, and she would be just fine. She'll be just okay. But she likes this platform.
Yeah, they all do. Clearly, because besides Wendy, nobody else really has anything going on, to be honest, except for Wendy.
Yeah.
So imagine not being on this show and receiving that big old check every
Mm-hmm.
season. What are you going to do? Because nobody else is really doing anything,
So I
honestly.
wonder how like Robin's gonna fare. I know she started her business. I hope she can keep that off the ground.
Well, she's been casting in the new season of Traders.
Oh, word. Oh, good for her. Okay.
Yeah, so she'll be on
Okay, nice. But still, that paycheck is no paycheck. Like, it's
there.
not a
Yeah,
consistent paycheck.
it's not
One
that
is one
800,000.
season. It's not that annual paycheck, and it's not whatever she was making. So, but maybe she'll come back
But
on.
that's one of the great things about shaking up a cast.
Mm-hmm.
is it allows people to have that space to have those uncomfortable conversations that they felt like they couldn't have because maybe they feel like they wouldn't be being a good friend
Mm-hmm.
or having their friends back or being loyal, whatever the case may be, when that's not what it's about. I feel like as adults, if it's not detrimental, if it's not something that was violent or again life changing because you tried to ruin my reputation by saying I was drugging people and raping them. Like that's
So do you think
huge.
Candace and Giselle would have found their way back, or they will find their way back?
I think they will.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they will because Candace really looked at Giselle as a big sister. And I think also with her about to be a new mom, that also softens you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what we seen with Portia and Kenya. They had their babies around the same time, which softened them for that season. And
Mm-hmm.
remember, that's when they started their relationship and they started to bond and connect.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it will soften them. And honestly, Ashley and Candace had more of a car crash than Giselle and
They have
Candace.
repeated car crashes, but they
Yeah,
still
but
film
they
together,
still,
have fun
yeah.
together, and still are able to put it
And even
aside.
Karen and Giselle early on had really big issues
Yeah.
as well. But I think time heals all when because it was nothing. I mean, it was a big deal, but I feel like they will be able to have that conversation, and as long as Giselle's able to just understand why this impacted and affected Candace and Chris in that capacity, and I think that'd be fine. Because I feel like she just right now, from what she was showing, she didn't care and she don't understand
Mm.
how she could have really ruined, and she did some opportunities for him. But same with the Candy situation, that's a huge accusation, and even if it wasn't like, oh, you sexually assaulted me, some maybe companies or some opportunities seen it that way and decided to not do business with him. We just don't know how people interpret things when they see these things, when these things get out here and you try to get in front of it. So um, we shall see. Oh, and another thing, Marriage Medicine's doing the same thing because you got Quad now chilling with Toya and Dr. Heavenly and all them is just
Quiet wants her,
so
her her her
it's the
platform. That's
same
based on the
thing.
show. She
Oh
didn't
yeah.
get a lot of showtime towards the end of the season,
Yep.
so she understands. She understands. All these ladies
You like everybody
understand. They
understand.
understand. I mean, what else are they gonna do? You know,
You gotta suck it up,
yeah,
man.
suck it
God,
up.
like,
When you got
yeah.
doctors on the show, who are willing to suck it up,
Oh yeah.
like Dr. Simone, Dr. Heaven, like they understand the platform and how much money they make from this show.
Oh
And
yeah.
Dr. Jackie, like you wising up.
Oh
That's what I
yeah.
think. Like Nene probably would behave completely different, if she could do it all over again. I believe Mariah the same thing. But
Absolutely.
luckily, Bravo has these examples, and you need to make examples out of people so you
Yeah.
can keep everybody else in check in line. Like this could be you too.
Great
Look at
point.
how big Nene was, but now,
Yes.
from what we understand, she would be open to coming back on the show.
But the
But the
door is
door is
closed.
closed.
We knocking on the door. The door is closed.
The door is slammed shut. Um,
That's wild. But
and
that's a
so,
great point. Those are great examples. I was
and even
looking
I
at it
think
another way.
Robin is a great example.
Oh
Having
yeah.
Robin go off got those ladies to tighten up because
Oh
Giselle's like,
yeah.
this could be me next.
Absolutely.
And same thing with Wendy. They all were thinking this could be me next.
Yeah.
And also, they want to give the fans what they want too. So they're professionals. But I think they'll find some way to find a genuine connection so it doesn't feel fake. I think they have more incentive to try
Yeah.
to rebuild their relationship.
And give
And
us
so,
the fun show that because sometimes this is some of these reality shows are people's escape. You know what I
mhm.
mean? Like just a little bit of an escape of just like from their own lives and their own situations, just to see, the glitz and glamour or the fun and all of these things from other people. Like I'll be the first to say I'll sit and watch the Kardashians just because it's a totally different type of lifestyle and just see how they just live and you thinking like this is your problem. Like
Yeah,
their
yeah.
problems are so minimal. Like
Champagne
it's
problems,
nothing.
yes.
It's like, oh, uh, the driver didn't come on time, and I was completely late, and I almost missed the fashion show. I'm so upset, and I'm like, that's it. That's it. You crying about that? That's it. Nothing else. So it's very interesting. But I think that's just what the fans were missing, the fun, more of the fun and not so much of the negativity. Because of course, in any friend group, there's bound to be a little bit of drama in some situations because there's going to be misunderstandings. You're going to play telephone. He said, she said. It's going to happen. But the fun aspect of it all and being able to resolve these situations is what people really look forward to. And the ensemble cast in general, everybody filming together, everybody getting along. Just want to throw that out there.
Mhm.
But
That's it.
so we went in overtime, which is good,
Yeah.
which is pretty good. So I got a lot to watch and a lot to respond to. So just be sure to, well, before I even say that, thank you so much to our new subscribers. Really appreciate it. Welcome to the R&D
Welcome.
show. We hope you love it here. If y'all have any topics that y'all want us to talk about, please feel free to drop it down in the comment section. And we would love to explore those. But we thank y'all so much for the love and support. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Be sure to thumbs up this video. That means you're liking the video. Make sure you subscribe to the R&D show and share the video as well. Yes. Thank you again. Peace and blessings.